All right, folks, what's going on? We brought in a special guest today.
Hey, everybody.
I don't, I think some of you folks may not know Jason, but I'll let Jason introduce himself here in just a few minutes. Anyways, this is our first day back on YouTube after our banishment from YouTube for a while. What's going on, Rich? Good to see you. Jason, good to see you. John, good to see you. Nice. Glad to see you're on Rumble, John. We'll definitely be moving over there. I will say, folks, if you are on Facebook or Rumble, if you're watching that from either one of those, I would encourage you just for tonight, as much as I hate YouTube, I would say switch over to YouTube and watch it on YouTube. Reason being is we can see the comments on YouTube. For whatever reason, most of the time we can't see comments coming from Facebook. And right now it doesn't look like we can see comments coming from Rumble based on last weekend's. We could see it on our phones, but we couldn't see it on this. We have this going through live stream, and there's definitely some sort of compatibility. But at least it's streaming there. And hopefully they'll get that fixed and a little bit more refined so that we can do this. Again, my goal is to completely switch over to Rumble for everything in the very near future. But for right now, YouTube and it's whatever, their stuff works and it works really well. It's a shame they're such fascists when it comes to everything else. All right, folks, I want to welcome everybody to Dangerous Liberty Podcast, where we talk about everything from politics, guns, gear, training, life. We have special guests. And again, we have a very special guest, definitely my best friend. And for those of you who haven't met Jason, hopefully if you, number one, we're definitely going to have him on the channel. He just recently switched jobs so that he'll be more available. His last job didn't allow him to associate with me at all. Actually, he had to be he had to be up really early, so a 7:00 live show wasn't in the cards for him. So we're glad that he's number one in a better job. Number two, he doesn't have a 24-hour commuter where the hell you had. And so you guys will see more of him, as well as more of him on the range. Jason is definitely one of the most entertaining and best instructors that you'll ever meet. And again, because of his job, he wasn't able to make it out of the range as much. So we'll definitely have him involved in a lot more courses. We got a great show for tonight. I just want to kind of go through and welcome. I'm seeing some folks that I've never seen before, so welcome. Glad you guys made it. We got Chad Wyckoff. It's good to see you. Chris Treadwell. Glad you're here. John, always good to see you. Jason Sponsor, what's happening? Jeff Hahn, always good to see you. Witchell. Went over Rumble and typed in Paramount Tactical Solutions in the search bar. Nothing came up. Don't know what's going on. 36 Studebaker. Good to see you, buddy. Definitely somebody let me know if they're seeing if this is even working on Rumble. Willie, that's a good job for you. Oh yeah, you got it on Rumble?
I got it.
All right. Don't know why it's not coming up on Rumble, but every time I've searched it, we've been able to find it. So I don't know what's happening there.
I'll be watching the comments on Rumble, guys.
I can't explain technology. That's not.
If I can even find the app.
I remember my first time using a phone. It was great. Good to have everybody here. So we got a great. Need a swig of tea there. We got a great show for you tonight. I want to get a little deep, guys. I want to talk about really what this company and this channel is all about. And we were going to talk about building a community. And I also want to talk about, your role and some of the things that you guys should be doing. And this isn't about, turning you guys into some ambassadors for Paramount. It's turning you guys into ambassadors for the principles that we believe in and what is important to this country, what the society needs. And there's a lot to discuss, and I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of input on that. And of course, we want to hear your input. Tim G, good to see you, man. So again, and for those of you that haven't said hello yet, we got 26 viewers. Make sure you guys say hello so we can recognize you and tell you how much we appreciate you guys showing up to this.
A shout out to JW Pops over here on Rumble.
That's John Walsh. He's on both. He's double fisting.
Double fisted over here. All right, and then we got Otter114.
Yep,
we got,
I know who that is.
Factor Man. I saw that name on the YouTube. Hen Mike. All right, we got
That's Mike Hen.
on there. Oh, Mike Hen.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mike.
And Mike.
Mike Hen.
He's tricking everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep an eye on that. Thanks, Jay. Tim Marcher. Yep, good to see you. All right, so again, from the moment that let me back up just a little bit. When for those of you, I don't think I've went into depth on this, but let me tell you why I started Paramount. So I got out of the military. I literally came off of a deployment with SF mid, probably it was like July or August of 2011. And then I got a job, and I was ETSing. I think I was getting out in like September. So a couple months from a deployment, I was getting out and I was looking for a job, and I ended up getting a job with U.S. Department of State as a special tactics instructor at a training facility here in West Virginia. And so I took this job, came out here and, I ended up interviewing for this job, and what I was told the job was, and what it actually was very, very different, right? So I thought it was going to be this real high-speed, cool job. They're looking for people that have recent and relevant experience. I'm like, great, I can come and I can talk about, not really talk about, but I can take some of the information and the lessons learned from the battlefield and be able to kind of push and mold the training that we're giving people that are going back over. And what we did was essentially train special agents that were going overseas, and also new agents. So, be able to feed into these people and mentor them a little bit, as well as be able to provide recent relevant experience when it comes to the curriculum. And Jason was in this job as well, by the way, and we'll talk about how he jumped in there. And so when I got there, it was very different, right? They already had a set curriculum. They wanted absolutely no input. And what they were doing was some of the most outdated and antiquated tactics, techniques, principles that they were teaching these folks. And it was I know, shocking.
The government?
The government.
No.
And you also had, I think the most frustrating about that was that you had this hierarchy of people that were in charge that were pre 9/11 guys, right? So a lot of these guys retired long before 9/11 happened. And, they had a very stale mindset when it came to training. And the last thing they wanted was anyone to, they wanted absolutely no input from anybody else, right? So it is what it is. It's a job. After a while, that's a jagged pill to swallow, but you do, and you just Charlie Mike, carry on. And then I ended up kind of moving to another section. I wasn't very happy there, so I ended up going to this other program where I was actually a unit chief, and we set up this program, but that was also very boring. So a couple years into this, number one, I realized a few things. Number one, I was depressed. I was not in a good spot. And number two, I also realized that, not being able to train, not being able to shoot, I think one of the things that people don't realize, especially coming from special operations, and I think combat arms in general, a lot of a person's, your personality, who you are is kind of built into like shooting and things like that. And that was one thing that I wasn't doing enough of. So I came up with this great idea. Hey, we're going to start this company. I'm going to start training on the weekends and teaching people, as well as being able to take guys like Jason that I had access to, and we can create this company. And really the idea was two things in my mind at the time. Number one, I can start training on the weekend. That'll be fun. That will actually pay for more guns and gear, right? So I wasn't worried about it turning into a lucrative business or anything like that. But the other big part of that was, giving guys like me, Jason, and the people that I work with a chance to, creating this community where we could go and we can provide training that we design on the weekends, right? So we If the training sucked, it was our fault. So it hit a lot of spots for me. And ultimately, you know, as the business continued to grow, you know, my idea behind it was ultimately we're going to have our own training company. And, you know, I'm going to hire guys like Jason and other folks that I was around where number one, we're going to be financially independent. We're not going to rely on the government. We're not going to work for somebody else. We're going to run our own thing. So the goal from the beginning was creating a community, and it still is. And of course, you know, we obviously need to make money, and it needs to be, you know, we got to feed ourselves, feed our family, and create good lives for ourselves and everybody else. And thanks to you all, we've continued to do that, and we've continued to grow over the years. And even when we got challenges like, you know, YouTube and some of these other challenges that we face on a pretty regular basis, you know, we have a real solid core of customers, clients, followers, subscribers, that are helping us along the way. And I can't begin to tell you guys how much I appreciate that. Not only that, but how much we've grown in the last 2 years. So, you know, a lot of that is on you. And Jason, feel free to jump in here at any time. But, you know, what I want to talk about was expanding that, because that's what this is about, folks, is creating a community. And whether you guys realize it or not, you guys are exactly what this country needs. People like you, and making sure that, you know, you are setting a standard, setting an example. And when I look at our clients, and I've actually had clients tell me this before, and I have people tell me all the time, I want people to look that know you, that are like, hey, folks, if the world is coming to an end, if you know, shit hits the fan, you know, you're the guy that I'm coming to. I'm coming to your house.
I'm definitely coming here. I don't know if you can see this behind me.
Well, it's also what
now. I feel like I'm breathing into it. So
no, you're
Willie,
good.
how we good? Am I good here?
You're good.
All right.
I
know I got a face for radio. Just trying to get my radio voice going on though here.
Well, Jason is bound to hit puberty at some point. It'll deepen out a little bit.
Grow, so if anyone doesn't know me, I'm 2'5".
Yeah. So, you know, that's who you guys need to be. Right. And it goes a lot further than that. He says you're still really low.
Still really low.
Let me check your mic level. You should be good. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Jackson sabotaged you.
He did. Now I can hear it. God, I sound horrible.
No, you sound great, Jay. You sound great. Yeah. So, you know, that's what this is about, right? And I want to talk a little bit about how you guys can do that. And again, whether you realize it or not, whether we're talking about within your community, within your family, with the people that you work, your friends, each and every one of you guys are leaders. And I want to talk about what that means. And there's a couple of areas that I want to hit on specifically with that. And that is, number one, making sure that we're principled, that we're prepared, talking about leadership, what that means. And then, you know, also when it comes to parenting. And I want to hit on a few of these. And again, if anything I say, you know, offends you or anything like that, that is not the intention here.
Can't offend me. I have no children.
Oh my God.
Trying to keep myself alive most days.
It was so much better when it was quieter.
Trying to live every day. Poor Brianna.
And that's the other part of this, as far as when it comes to a community, right? Is that this needs to be a group of people where we can have fundamental differences. You know, for instance, even when as instructors, when we're out on the range and things like that, there's things that we disagree on, even on tactics. There's different things that we disagree on, everything from, you know, how to reload or little things. But the point is, there's Brianna.
It is a hard job. It is definitely,
the thing
throw
is
this up there.
At least Brianna will have a lot of experience raising a kid.
Yeah, that's right. 100%. Yeah. I had food on my shirt earlier. She made me change it before coming here. Can't take me anywhere.
Yeah. So again, and we can disagree when it comes to parenting or anything else to say. I don't really give a shit. Doesn't matter. The point is that I think fundamentally we'll agree on many of these things. So, I think the first thing that we need to talk about, again, making sure that, number one, we are prepared. I think that's one of the things that will make you guys stand out more than anybody else. And, you don't have to be prepared in the sense that, necessarily when it comes to, you don't have to have your whole house on a generator. All these things are great, right? But we're not talking about, doomsday prepping. Nothing wrong with that. That's my goal. Those are life goals to where we can get to that point. But what I mean by that is having the basic skills that I think most of us have, that I think we take for granted. And, whether it's being able to defend yourself, maybe, again, hopefully most of you are training with a firearm. You're at least somewhat efficient and safe when it comes to gun handling.
Man, that's got to be my biggest thing there, is that, everyone buys guns all the time, but really, people know how to use them a lot of times, but, then they come out and they have a class, and it's definitely a different story once, professionals start training them. So like, that's a big deal,
or even guys that are very proficient with a firearm, but then they're thrown into, kind of a scenario-based training situation or something like that, where, they're having to think and shoot and problem solve all at the same time, and they fall apart. So, there's that portion of it. The other portion of it, obviously, some basic med training. If you haven't been to one of our med courses, definitely go. And with that, when we're talking about that too, and this touches on what both me and Jason are saying, is being honest with yourself and making sure that the areas that you feel that you're prepared in, make sure you actually are, right? Everybody thinks that they can put on a tourniquet. I'd say 90% of the tourniquets that people put on during a course, especially for the first time, even after we've shown them, are wrong. We take things that we think are simple. Even shooting a gun is in itself as a concept is very simple, but actually being able to use it in a practical sense, make sure that you're getting training, at least make sure that some of the concepts or the presumptions that you're making are true. So, there's that portion of it.
It's super perishable, guys. I mean, hell, even times, I get out there on the range with Gary, and Gary's like, "Hey, Jay, do you want to demonstrate this?" I'm like, yes. Thinking to myself, well, it's been a couple months, right? Like, okay.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Nailed it, right? That's about it. And I'm just like,
well, that's another good point too, is the fact that, when you're training regularly, the confidence in your skills, folks, is much improved as well. Right. And that, folks, your confidence, real confidence too, not some bravado nonsense. Real confidence in your skills and ability go a long way.
Well, I'm just bringing up, even professionals, right? That even if professionals don't shoot, no matter if you've been to a course with us or whoever's course you've been to, they could be really good shooters, right? But even if professionals don't shoot every day, right, all the time or regularly, right, it significantly decreases from there.
Yeah, and I don't want to get necessarily so stuck on just shooting, but I'm saying generally, folks, you being prepared is something, and even having that mindset, and it could be the ability to change a tire, the basic mechanic ability, all of these things that really hone in on preparation, and then also constantly striving to get better at those things, right? So all of those things, being prepared, folks, will attract people to you, and those are the people that are going to be looking to you for leadership, whether it be in an emergency situation or just in general, they're going to have that regard for you. And, just keep that in mind. The other thing I think that ties into that, and we can go down a deep rabbit hole with this, and that is leadership. Making sure that you're a leader with your family, friends, coworkers, and part of that is, don't let your own bullshit get in the way. And what I mean by that specifically is, even when we're talking about preparation and being prepared and things like that, most of you right now are thinking, you know what, I'm not that guy. We come up with all these reasons as to why we're not good enough, why, you're not the guy to lead, why, you don't have everything perfectly in order. Folks, you got to get out of that mindset. And you also got to lead from a place, not necessarily of who you are now or who you've been in the past, but who you're striving to be. And quite frankly, and I believe this completely, is that, even when we're dealing with our kids and things like that, is leadership is often has a dose of hypocrisy built into it. And you obviously always want to try to lead by example. But at the same time, you got a lot to offer exactly the way that you are. And chances are that if you're watching this right now or in the future or anything else, chances are that you have a lot more to offer than 99% of the folks out there. So, you got to be able to step up and be a leader, even if you don't think you're worthy of it. Because I'm telling you, folks, most of the people on here are more capable of leadership. The vast majority, if not every single person here, is more capable of leadership than 99% of the population. Most of you have the ability to do some critical thinking. Most of you have the ability to do some contingency planning. Most of you are old enough to have lived a little bit. You've seen what right, what wrong is. There's lots of things that I want my kids to be that I'm not necessarily now, that I'm training them, and that may be Hippocratic, right? That can be completely,
Hippocratic.
Hippocratic. I'm glad you called me out of that. You can be a complete hypocrite.
Yeah. All right. Is that
My
a new
Hippocratic
party?
oath.
The Hippocratic.
I was going to take the Hippocratic
I'm
oath.
voting for them. Hippocratic's next election, right? The
Absolutely.
Hippocratics. Yeah. Sign me up.
So before I was rudely interrupted by this tip shit. But yeah, absolutely. Folks, you got to be ready to step up and lead. And I'm telling you, people will be drawn to you. People will listen to what you say. And on top of that, every single person here has people that they know in their lives that you can reach them when nobody else can. So you have the ability to influence those people in a way that nobody else can. And we need to keep that in mind. And again, we can't be ashamed of what we believe. And I don't care if we're talking about it from a religious standpoint, political philosophy, whatever it is, moral standpoint, whatever it is. Folks, we can't be ashamed of what we believe. And we can't necessarily, you also, with that being said, you also need to be able to articulate what you believe and why you believe it. I see so much of this stuff, even when it comes to the Second Amendment, liberals just spout nonsense, or anti-gun folks in general just spout nonsense. There wasn't machine guns before the Second Amendment. There was. Okay, there was, and I can prove that to you. And if you don't know that, you need to search that stuff. That the Second Amendment was only meant for a militia. Absolutely not true. And there's plenty of writings and factual things that our founders talked about before, during, and after. There's lots of things, but the point is that you need to make sure that you have a little bit of ability to back up what you believe with something substantive and something that is convincing, right? And that's really what it comes down to. I thought you were going to say something.
No.
And we definitely need to lead by example, right? So we need to do everything that we can to determine what it is as men and as women too, right? What we believe and why we believe those, and then do our best to live those things out and constantly improve. That's the other big thing with this, is learning to improve. Yeah, definitely, John. There's a bunch of stuff that I threw up on Twitter. If you haven't been on Twitter, I'm also going to push that out, I think, in one of our newsletters as well. I want people to have some good information on the Second Amendment. It's where it comes from, and then the backing of the different things that our founder said that talked about that. Everything from, by the way, you have to be very careful, folks. There's lots of absolutely, I won't say fake quotes by our founders that are going around the internet, but there are lots of fake quotes, or at least quotes that don't have any. They may have said it and it makes sense, but there's no place where you can go that. And maybe they said no place that you can actually find it. So be careful with, that's the one thing you don't want to do, right? We don't want to spread stuff that's easily proven wrong. So be careful about it as well. But I'll definitely send out a newsletter where I talk about some things that I've vetted when it comes to the Second Amendment, things like that.
Also, JMK 8363
on Rumble.
on Rumble. Yeah. Highly suggests a Twins reboot. So,
Twins reboot.
yeah, Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. Obviously, I'm Schwarzenegger.
Obviously, you're Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
What was
obviously.
I thinking? What was I thinking?
It's all about the camera angles, guys. You don't really know.
It is. He is actually 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was a good one. I like to talk about, and by the way, folks, anytime that you guys have comments or anything that you'd like to input or suggestions or anything like that, make sure you guys throw that up there. This is not a one-way conversation. And that's one of the things that's very difficult with, that I'm still trying to get better at when it comes to this podcasting thing, is just talking to a screen. It's definitely one of the most challenging things. It's even harder than doing a video. So the only way we're going to get better at it is doing it.
Studio Baker says the first do no
Studio
harm.
Baker?
I can't see. These brights are so light. These brights are so light in here. That's about right. Yeah. Right.
Don't you dare call me out in any bullshit.
That's the Hippocratic Oath.
That is the Hippocratic Oath.
Also, a new party being formed after this. The Hippocratic Party.
The Hippocratic Party. There is already a Hippocratic Party. Now, Stefan's Depresso Liber. Good to see you, man. I'm glad to hear. And that's another thing too, folks. You know, we have a lot of veterans in this community. Studio Baker, I bay in the studio. We have a lot of veterans in this community, and that's another thing too. As veterans, we're really good at selling ourselves short on what we have to offer the world. Look, again, going back to training, going back to having overcome adversity like almost no one has. Most of us did that at a very young age, which was really a trial by fire. It's definitely vodka. It's definitely vodka. Yeah. Good. You know, there's no one more critical of me than me. I sit around and dwell on stuff about failures, how I can do things better, stuff I did 20 years ago. And I'm sure many of you do the exact same thing, man. I literally think back to moments, and I feel like I'm back in that moment, that embarrassment when it comes to, you know, just looking back and seeing how stupid I was, right?
Oh my God.
And
if I could go, that would be a comedy for the ages.
If you go back and see my failures.
No, my failures. They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
And that's the thing that we, you know, whether you're running a business or doing anything else, folks, you got to learn to, and being a parent, being a leader or manager, whatever else it is that you guys do, you got to learn to, you know, give yourself some grace and to forget about that. And again, I still don't do any of those things. I'm sitting here again, completely talking from hypocrisy, not the Hippocratic Oath.
That's right.
From hypocrisy.
Nailed it.
But those are the things that we got to do better and get better at. And I'll tell you, that's another thing that we have a problem with when it comes to parenting. That's something that I see all the time, is that parents are afraid of being hypocrites and telling their kids to be better than maybe they were as a child. There's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, that's what we strive for, right? I want my kids to be 1,000 times better, and I'm harder on them in certain areas that I was completely, you know, I make them work out every single day of something, right? They usually do about a 1 mile run, and then they got to either do 50 push-ups or 50 pull-ups every single day. And that's teaching them discipline. It's teaching them the importance of physical fitness.
Plus, if you ain't going to be smart, you got to be strong.
That's right. And that's something I tell them every single day. Look,
that's it.
And by the way, when they get in trouble, that's what they do. We have about it's about a third of a mile to the end of our driveway and back. So when they're acting stupid, that's what you got to do. I'm like, hey man, why don't you go do a lap and come back and talk to me?
So I got through selection as I was very stupid in the infantry. A lot of push-ups, a lot of things. So strong.
Strong and fast. If you're going to be dumb, you better be strong and fast. Yeah. You know, and that's And that's what this is about, right, folks? Is again making sure that we get like-minded folks, that we're constantly pushing each other to be better. Training obviously is a huge part of that, and that's kind of our primary focus, and specifically firearms training and medical training. But I am completely open to, there's a whole lot of areas, even things that I've taught on a professional level, that I've had a hard time trying to figure out how to translate over to the civilian world. One of the things that I developed for the government was a situational awareness curriculum for people going overseas, threat detection, all these things. And those are all areas that we will eventually develop some curriculum and do. The other thing that I want to make sure that we are doing in the future is survival courses, right? We did one last year, a family survival course, very basic, very low key. I won't say very basic, but nobody's out there surviving. We're learning real skills in a kind of a campground environment, man. Between my kids, the other kids that were there, they had the absolute best time getting off the screens. They were out there running around barefoot the whole time in the creek, playing around, learning how to tie knots, learning how to start fires, all of these things. And his kid was out, Emilio was out there. Man, they just had a great time, and, sleeping outside, cooking s'mores. And on top of that, building real relationships, right? And that's something that where we as a society are failing. We're failing in society when it comes to not talking about what we believe in, not having a good way to articulate why we believe what we believe. And then also we're completely lacking in the community and in that interaction and social development. We have neighbors now that we never even talk to. Well,
that's by choice sometimes.
That is by choice. But that's the thing.
No offense, Chris. I talk to you all the time.
And that's the thing too, is, whatever you think about that person that you're not speaking to, they think about you the same way. And those assumptions are probably completely wrong. And we need to learn to be able to reach out to people. And chances are that they probably need somebody like you. When there's snow on the ground and, it's some person that for whatever reason, you may not even realize that they're disabled or something like that, or having a hard time, or, their car's broken down or needs a jump, and, they don't know you well enough to where they can come and talk to you and say, hey, will you come over here and jump my vehicle? So I think we're missing out on a lot of relationships that I think we would actually enjoy very much. And we're missing out on people that we have so much in common, but because, all we do is give them a passing glance as we go by, we make this split judgment on who they are, what they believe, what they don't believe, or whatever else. Or now, if they have a Joe Biden sign in the yard, there's some people that are irredeemable.
Always said, kids, they just run around and they're just like, hey, what's up? You want to have fun?
Yeah.
Right. And they just go around to people. Could you imagine me just walking up to random adults? Like, hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's happening, bud?
Punched in the face.
Yeah. Or they're just like, what a freaking
weirdo.
What a
weirdo. They're not wrong, but, You're
completely right.
Yeah.
But, the thing about you, Jay, is you're an interesting weirdo. There's no doubt about it. Jeff Fon says, as an older SF guy, 80s, this is a great way to connect with young operators, new gear, tactics, training, mindset. I've missed this kind of dialogue. That's great, John and Jeff, and I appreciate that. And again, we definitely can utilize social media and all the technology that we have to start relationships, and this is a good icebreaker. But I do think that we have to start making it to where this isn't the end of it, right? Because this isn't enough. There's nothing natural about this interaction. I can tell you from, just sitting here and talking to a screen, looking at my face, looking at Jason's weird face, there's nothing natural about this. Your radio face.
Although I think I sound pretty good now.
You sound better. You get used to hearing your own voice.
This good.
Oh, that's that's silky smooth right there.
Yeah.
Slightly turned on.
All right.
But yeah, and that's what we want to do. And we're going to continue to offer courses like the family survival course and figure out other ways. And another big thing, so you guys know, as of this Friday, as of this Friday. We are full-time Paramount. This upcoming Friday, day after tomorrow, I will no longer work for anybody else. Because of you guys, your support, we've gotten to a point where Summer and I can do this full-time, which is going to be it's going to be so nice, folks.
First of all, Chris, there is no way 6 crayon eaters, right, beat the AI robot. I got to see this video now.
Well, he means the actual physical robot.
Oh, like physically beat it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that sounds legit.
They're like, the files are in the robot.
They're inside.
They're like, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to put an AI robot
That's right.
up against 6 Marines in chess. They're like,
AI all in.
You can't play chess if you're dead.
I'll just unplug your battery.
Absolutely. The alumni group is pretty awesome. That's absolutely right, folks. We have a, again, if you've been to one of our courses, you've heard this feel before. We do have an alumni Facebook group. So if you have been to a course, make sure that you go join that. We definitely have a lot of back chatter discussions on there that are fun. But we also do a lot of great things on here too. But we definitely want to get you guys to a course and make sure that we're meeting people in person.
They outthought the robot, huh? That has got to be the first 6 Marines. They're going to Congress,
right?
Where's all my Marines in here?
Somebody needs to give me some context on this.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find that video, Chris, tonight, and I'm going to watch that. That's going to be great.
So Richie Futrell, throw up his comment real quick. Says, my wife has been a rural elementary school teacher for 10 years. I just discovered they have nothing more than basic first aid kit, no trauma kit or any training. So not only is that true, Richie, but, again, we've done some security and threat assessments for schools and even going to talk to the nurses there. Most of the time when it comes to first aid equipment, they may have some gauze. They may even have some larger bandages sometimes, and some Band-Aids. That's typically what they have. They have no plan whatsoever if there's any sort of casualty event, a mass casualty event, and I don't care if that's, really someone who's injured from fire, just a freak accident, or obviously some sort of active threat in there, whether they have a knife, a gun, or anything else. So we're doing really poor in that area. But again, that's the state of the world. And folks, I don't think that's by accident, by the way. I'm going to put my conspiracy hat on, folks. I absolutely believe that this government and people that are in charge, I think that is a strategy to make us more and more reliant on government. And I even think, when it comes to silly things like, gas stoves, right? Well, of course, they don't want you to have a gas stove. Then you can live off grid. Then you're not stuck and required to have electricity that they control. I think that is very, very, that's a plan that's in place, and they're enacting a lot of that stuff. So
I'm even mad at that, and I don't even have a gas stove.
Right? I mean, that's pretty infuriating. And here's the thing, folks. When it comes to conspiracies, if you don't believe in conspiracies, you're an idiot. All right, that's just how I feel about it. Because, folks, there are, number one, there's some very smart people out there. And we can say that the government dumb, and I think in general that is absolutely true. But there are entire think tanks of brilliant people that all they're doing is figuring out, and folks, they believe that because they're very ideological, they believe that they're implementing these things for the better. If the government controls everything, they can control everything, right? They can control who dies, who lives, all those things. So I don't necessarily always think that the intentions are bad. When we look at some of the craziness that comes out of the World Economic Forum, when you hear those people talk and they're very serious about implementing these different programs, they believe it, and they believe that they're doing it to make the world a better place. But it is completely antithetical to what we believe as Americans, what we believe as far as being independent, self-sufficient, self-reliant. All of those things, independent, self-reliant, all those things are completely, you are less able to be controlled. And there is no doubt about that. They hate those folks. That's why so many, like, all these preppers that are nothing more than people that want to everything from, learning to can, to be self-sufficient, to get off the grid. That's why so many of these folks are labeled as terrorists online and social media and everything else. And they're people that don't even have anything to do with guns or out training like we do, right? But these people are banned on social media. They're labeled certain things. They're put on certain government watch lists because they have the ability to shrug off the control of the government. And that is not something that the government and the people in charge think is good or that they like. And there's no way to even dispute that. That is absolutely true. And yeah, Jeff Hans says throw up Jeff Hans. So the WF has a 20 to 30 year plan. Most people in governments have a 1 year plan. Most people are behind. That's true, Jeff. I don't doubt that there are, when we say our government, maybe we're talking about Congress and I doubt they can even, think 6 months ahead, much less even a year. But there are definitely factors or factions within our government and or outside of the government, and a lot of it has to do with the intelligence agencies and the intelligence community and people that are attached and tied into that. But again, there are think tanks that are developing and implementing strategies that are, you can call it a conspiracy. I'm
my favorite think tank. I have all the ideas.
You are a tank full of think. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And control does equal subjugation, folks. And there again, folks, that goes back to the Second Amendment, right? You can't control a population that's armed. You can't. And that's why they're slowly and very deliberately and effectually taking away our gun rights a little bit at a time. And not only that, and folks, if you look at what's going on with all this stuff, everything that we just talked about, how they're shaping the minds of the past generation. I would say everything and probably even, I'm a Gen Xer. I was born in 1980. But old man. From that point on, the way that my kids think, the way that, kids now in their 20s and 30s think, kids in their 20s and 30s, people in their 20s and 30s think is very, very different. They are not afraid to be completely reliant on the government. They're not, as a matter of fact, that the more reliance and the less they have to do, the better off they feel. So this is my point behind this community thing, is you guys are the people out there on the front lines. We are the people out there on the front lines that have the ability to counteract some of that. And you influence people every single day, and I just want everybody that is on this channel that is associated with Paramount, as much as I can get the message out, folks, you have ability to change a lot of people, whether you realize it or not. You have the ability to offer them something that is attractive. People are going to be attracted to people that are prepared. They're going to be attracted to people that are principled, that have good morals, that they can trust, that they can talk to. They're going to be attracted to people that have skills that other people don't. And everything that I just laid out, those are you folks. You got skills that most people don't. You have abilities that most people don't. You are more prepared than most people, both from a mental standpoint and from a physical standpoint, whether it's because you carry a gun every day, maybe you carry a trauma kit in the car, maybe because of the training that you have, the life experiences that you have.
I carry 2 guns.
Yeah.
Every day carry.
Also a short barrel rifle.
Don't make fun of my fingers, Gary.
That's not what I was talking about. So, and most importantly, folks, I think we need to be more cognizant about, at a very minimum, the way that we raise our kids, right? We have to, we are, as parents, we are at such a disadvantage, and you guys should be actively indoctrinating your kids, because they are being indoctrinated by somebody else. There's no doubt about it. So you're not even going to realize it. folks, one day, your kid's in there playing with GI Joes or My Little Pony, or they're 40 and still playing with My Little Pony like Jason. But one day you're going to wake up and you'll realize, holy crap, I got, now my kid has purple hair and 6 different earrings in their nose. I guess that would technically make them nose rings, right?
That would.
And, they're completely anti-gun, and they grew up in a house with guns. One of the videos on my list that I have coming up, folks, is how to take your family to the range, how to teach your family to shoot, and how to make them fall in love with guns. Because as dads, we completely F that up. We get out there and we turn it into Drill Sergeant Joe and make shooting a miserable experience for our wives or girlfriends. Sometimes if you have them both there at the same time, that can be weird.
That could be weird.
That's definitely
generally not a good idea.
Your kids, you got to make it fun. And I have I've been thinking about this for a while. I've been writing a lot of ideas down, but I'm going to lay that out. How to take your kids and how to make them fall in love with firearms the way that you did. So there's that. But you need to be a salesman and an ambassador for all these things that you believe, because what we're up against they have no problems. Even though their ideology doesn't make sense, their ideology is counterintuitive. We see that their ideology leads to nothing but misery, pain, imprisonment, complete lack of independence, but they have no problem. As ridiculous as it all sounds, they're out there making noise and they're winning people over. They're winning, folks. That's what you need to realize. And that's why, things like Facebook and YouTube can completely, just get rid of every person out there that's for the Second Amendment. Folks, if that's happening, why in America would there not be everybody crazy pissed off about that? But they're not, because they've come to expect it, because they have won the war when it comes to the propaganda, right? They've won the war when it comes to messaging. And, we gotta freaking, we gotta do better, right? And we gotta make sure that we're not afraid to talk to people. We're not afraid to be a leader. We're not afraid to be a friend to people. Somebody's going to win those people over, and you have the ability to do it better than anybody else, but we sell ourselves short. Would really enjoy a video on how your kids and spouse talk about firearms and explaining what dad has done and believe. Yeah, I think with the video that I'm going to release, it's basically going to be something like how to take your family to the range. I will definitely hit on that. The other thing that I haven't pushed since before COVID, but we actually have a family and kids gun course where I've actually went and talked to people about gun safety, basic gun safety, but also part of that, I use that to indoctrinate people understanding the Second Amendment, where it comes from, why it's so important, and what it really means, regardless of what the propaganda tells you out there.
I don't think indoctrinate is the word you want.
No, indoctrinate is a very no, indoctrinate.
Indoctrinated. All right.
I use that word very specifically. That's what it is. I want them to be indoctrinated in understanding why it's so important. And it's exactly what I want. I want to indoctrinate my kids. I want them to believe it with every ounce of their being and understand it the way that I do, and feel as passionate about these things as I do. Because
I see where you're going there.
Yeah, and indoctrinate is often used as a negative term, obviously, but it's not necessarily a negative term. But again, it's important that we're spreading this message and spreading the information. And that's the other thing too, folks, is I'm sure there's lots of people out there that don't know you enough to understand, they don't see the type of person that you are. They don't see what you're capable of. They don't necessarily see your knowledge, your skills. And look, I know, folks, and I've had this, I know some of our clients and stuff have told me, like, especially if you're working in Northern Virginia or you live in a very democratic place, some places, if you're working, the last thing that you want them to even know that you own guns. And I get that. And obviously use your discretion in all those areas. And there's a time and place for it. But my point is when you see an opportunity to talk to somebody or bring someone to the range, for God's sakes, bring someone to a course, take those opportunities and set them off in the right foot. Take them to the range. You can be the person that you're going to change their complete outlook on, I'm sure it's to a lot of people, you guys and myself, there's just some dumb Trump voters that, cling to their Bibles and their guns and all this other, whatever the stereotypes are.
No, I know. I completely understand. Like coming from New York, right?
Yeah.
Nobody had guns in New York, right? Like it was not a thing, right? Until I got to the military, then we had guns. And even even when I got in the military, like I didn't carry after work or anything like that.
Sure.
Right? I remember one time I had a friend of mine. I went to his house and he's like, "Hey man, let's get in the grocery store. Let's go to the grocery store, pick up some stuff." I said, "All right, cool." So goes to get a check. Oh, 1 second. Let me give you right back. He goes inside and he grabs his Glock, right? And I was like, "What do you need that for?" I was like, "What? We're not gonna rob the place. What are you doing?" Right? I had no idea, but it's just ignorance, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't really know like why people need guns, right? Until all of a sudden you start getting around and you start hearing like all the situations where, man, if you had a good guy with that and the proper training, right? I mean, how many times it has saved lives, right? Or better. So,
well, and that's part of the narrative too, is that all of those stories are intentionally suppressed. And that's one of the things that I constantly try to do. Every time I find a story of, a good guy with a gun, whether it be somebody protecting their home, there are so many instances, folks, where guys with guns have stopped mass shootings. Those are intentionally suppressed. Search that on Google and then go open up a browser like Brave or something like that, one of these other browsers that aren't censored, and then search the same thing and see what kind of results you get. It is profound. And on top of that, even the CDC and all their stats and stuff like that, they intentionally hide a lot of that information and they're not going to report it. There's even Fox News, and some of these other, except for a very few, very conservative outlets that, quite frankly, the general populace has also been conditioned to believe that, whether it's the Daily Wire or some of these other places, that like, the news they put out is either fake, false, whatever else, regardless of whether or not that's the truth. John was asking what part of New York you're from.
Oh, Long Island originally, and then a little bit upstate. Hey, Ashley, how's it going? Stude Baker.
You can click on it. Some folks should not ever be taken to the range, though. Remember Chris Kyle, bet. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely want to use some good judgment right there, and obviously get to know somebody, and obviously put them in a controlled environment. And quite frankly, that's a conversation that we as instructors, that's a conversation we as instructors constantly have when we're out there and we have some new folks at the range. And the problem is sometimes people get there and they've never been to a range before, and they're around a bunch of new people and they're acting strange, right? They're a little distant, but don't think for a second that we don't identify those things, and we don't. And that's another good reason why bringing them to a course maybe is probably the safer course of action when it comes to that. No, not everybody should have guns, and not everybody should come to the range. That is absolutely true. Jeff Hahn says, I want to bring 3 to 4 people to your long range course shooting and make it a guys weekend. We'd love to have you out, John. It'd be a lot of fun. And folks, if you are, especially this upcoming long range course, folks, we are getting close to maxed out. So if you want to take that first course,
somebody had asked earlier, when is the next long range course?
Pull up our, hold on, I got it right here. Folks, also make sure that you are subscribed to our Substack. That's how we send out our newsletter. And of course, you can always go to our website and go to the calendar. It's right on the first page. It says calendar at the top. If you hit that, you can go through and you can look at all the courses coming up. We got that pretty much finalized. The only thing that I'm missing on there right now, and we just actually got an answer on that today, is regarding our Richmond classes. So we'll have some classes down in our Paramount South location. And then the other thing that we're going to have this year is we're going to have at least 3, maybe 4 driving courses, 2 on road, 2 off road. All those are high performance driving.
You boys like Mexico.
That's right. And folks, I'm telling you right now, learning to pit, learning to and the practical skills that you walk away from, folks, is, they teach vehicle dynamics. You're going to learn how that vehicle reacts and learn the limits of those vehicles. And look, there we go. We got Chris, or my wife, just posted up the training calendar. But the point is most of our courses are up, and we got a lot more great courses coming up, or we got a few more that we need to add on to that. But for the most part, the course schedule is up there. The other thing, folks, is our CQB courses. Folks,
hey, Kyle,
if you haven't taken our CQB course, and by the way, we have a new facility that we're using for our advanced CQB, or CQB level 2. You guys need to check that out. You guys, and I'm going to get some marketing material for that this year. So we'll get some videos up, get you guys all riled up and ready to go, and ready to throw us fistfuls of dollars so you can come train with us.
They're all ones though, so
that's fine. That's what I'm used to. That's what I'm used to. You can tuck them into my belt. April 15th and 16th. We're getting a lot of questions on that. Dan, if you're on here, or Summer, if you're on here, we definitely need to get a full round count on that up on the website. And the question, or the answer to that question, is, if you're wondering how many rounds, it's usually 150 to 200. Oh, okay. Summer's back here creeping around in the dark. She just got back from taking Noah.
Thanks, Will, for putting up that our training calendar out on Rumble.
Yep. So anyways, 150 to 200 rounds for our long range course. The other course you want to hit this year, I don't know if we got it up on the calendar yet, is the mid long range carbine course, shooting out to 500 yards with a carbine. Yeah, anyways, go check out the course description on that. That's going to be a lot of fun as well. But every one of you folks, again, this goes back to being prepared. Every person on here, I don't care what you do. If you don't like guns, you love guns, whatever it is, you need to come take our medical courses. So we have one of those coming up here in February. We'd love to have you guys out. Number one, you'll learn a lot. You'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And you will be able to, you'll learn how to save lives. That's what it's about. 36 Studebaker says, man, if I weren't crippled, I make sure to fail each driving course just so I could justify taking it again and again. Like any of the courses that we have, folks, the driving courses you will never master, right? So you can take that same course over and over and over again. Next year, we're not going to have them this year, just so I can get enough people through the basic driving courses. And they're not basic, they're high performance driving courses. You will learn to pit, you will learn to ram, you will learn to J-turn, you'll learn to do I'll learn a lot, right? So you learn, and on the off-road courses, everything from vehicle recovery to high performance on an unpaved road, learning how to properly operate four-wheel drive. These are things that everybody should have those skills, and that at some point in time, they could very easily save your life. And again, with those high-performance driving courses, you'll be surprised. We have the skid pad, so you're going to get out there with on a very wet pavement that is designed to basically be more like ice, and learn to handle that car. So, there's so much real world application that comes out of those, as well as the most fun that you'll ever have. Yes, you will definitely learn to jump. You got to say yeehaw while you're jumping that vehicle over 3 other vehicles.
Absolutely. I've done that before. So
yeah.
Also, we'll also be teaching everyone to stay out of the left lane as you're driving down the road when you're doing 5 miles under the speed limit. That will also be part of the course.
We will also teach you how to use the acceleration ramp when you're merging from a normal road onto the highway. You can call it an acceleration ramp. You can call it a merging ramp. What it's not is the lollygag ramp, right? So, by the time you hit the highway, actually on the highway, you should be doing whatever the same speed limit, or even a few miles faster.
No.
That way you can merge into traffic and not do 35.
You should definitely be doing at least 20 miles an hour under.
True.
And 100%. Stop. Why not stop?
That right there, just that little
perfect
piece of information right there, probably save like 50 lives if that was implemented just today. We're fly over many hills. Brianna says fly. Jason knows how to fly over many hills.
Yeah.
What would she be talking about, Jason?
Oh, I don't know. Well, it's free to fly. Much very expensive to land.
Yes, it is very expensive to land. You want to share a story, Jason?
Yeah. So see what had happened was
This is a great story, folks.
So I was hanging out a couple friends, right, and I was showing them my new car, which is a Tesla, right, and see how fast it can go. And one of my friends decided, hey, Jay, if you get a little speed on this hill, you can catch some air. So I obviously said, well, that sounds like a fantastic idea, right? And I got a little more than a little bit of air. So free to fly, costly to land, FYI. About 80 feet. It's a good time. Good time. By the way, piloted it. Lovely. Solid land. All 4 tires. And Gary's gone. So just here now talking about flying cars. Well, it was during COVID times, right? So maybe things were. Summer asked how long it take to get the car fixed. So things were a little bit backed up. Elon had some things going on, So probably about 3 months to come back. It was good. It was good. But one thing I'll say about that car, it drives like day one still.
Does it?
It really does. I was very shocked.
Yeah.
I thought it was definitely done for.
Yeah, he sent me pictures at the scene of the crash.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that car is completely totaled.
Yeah.
I think if it was anyone but Tesla and the innovation that comes from old Elon, I think it would have been like, oh, there's no fixing
there's
this
no
one.
way.
I think they brought that car to SpaceX and were like, guys, I just want to see if you could fix this car.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah. They are pretty fast. They are definitely fast, Jeff, which is why
they are shockingly fast.
Yeah.
When he first got that and took me for a ride, I was like, oh, I know electric vehicles are fast. I was not prepared for just how fast they actually are. Let's see. I got to find the.
Yeah. But I got to say, I've had a couple accidents in the past as a young kid, like in my 20s. All right. And, all the cars are always messed up after that. Just never right. Man, it drives perfect. So I was pretty happy about that. I was very scared when I first got it back.
Yeah. Where's Brittany Darmel's?
It's somewhere in there. Who cares about Brittany?
Well, I know, but I'm trying to take it off of the.
JK,
you find it.
What are you talking about?
So you got to unclick her comment.
Oh, yeah. I messed up. Boom.
There we go. There it is.
Nailed it.
Good job, Jay.
I'm a professional.
I knew I was doing the right thing when I handed you the mouse. I've regretted it every minute of this podcast. Yeah, folks. So again, the point here is, get out there and be a leader in your community. And by the way, the other thing I would say is, for those of you that want to contribute in some way with what we do here at Paramount, I don't care if it's writing articles from time to time. There's no expectations, right? But there are some things that many of you have a lot of skills. And if there's anything that you want to do, whether it's writing articles, shooting a video, something that you want to do with Paramount, let us know. I'm not going to say yes to every one of them, every idea, right? So
I will.
Don't get Jason definitely will. Don't get offended if I say that sucks. I might tell you to go back to the drawing board, but that's also what we're here for, right? Is to make each other better. So again, if there's something that you can do that you would like to contribute to what we do, definitely reach out to me. Just again, like I said, don't be offended if I say I don't think that's a good idea or not a good idea right now or whatever it is. But we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, don't get offended because all my ideas are pretty much bad.
They are. Jason's one guy I can yell at. And
yeah,
we'll be friends 30 seconds later. Jason says, sponsor, do you have a storefront or is it all online? Might want to do some shopping when I fly out in September. So, Jason, we are essentially all online. We definitely are looking at opening up a storefront. I think that's something that we need to do. We're basically out of room here when it comes to even, warehouse space and things like that. But basically, if you're around, especially if you come in, we regularly have people over. We do appointments where, you'll come over if there's something that you're looking for, it's something you want to get your hands on. Those are things that we regularly do. And obviously, we do sell guns. So we often do transfers here. So just let us know what you're wanting to do. And even if you guys are local, and many of you have already been to our house and have bought stuff, but we are out in the country and we will see you coming. So let us know so I can put the guns away, or at least keep them tucked away until I identify you.
John Walsh asked for bourbon recommendations. I can pick this one up.
Yeah,
here.
take that up. Jason has become quite the bourbon knight.
Yeah,
Bourbonista.
yeah. I like that, Bourbonista.
Bourbonista Batista.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Sold. But so I recently picked up a bottle of Noah's Mill. Probably could find it in Maryland a lot around here. Haven't really seen it in Virginia much. Seen it in West Virginia, but Noah's Mill is highly recommended there. Also,
is that Noah's
Mill? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Not from your son, but yeah.
If he's making bourbon, I want to cut.
Yeah. Yeah. Noah's Mill. I highly suggest it. Also, I had a bottle of Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel the other day, and that was a fantastic bottle. All right. Fantastic.
John says his daughter got him a bottle for Christmas.
Oh, of the Noah's Mill? Oh, this isn't quite real time.
He didn't answer you.
John, are you typing with two fingers?
He's a Marine.
He's a Marine.
He's got one finger.
Yeah, eating crayons in one hand and typing with the other. I get it. Yes.
I got crayon all over my computer board, my keyboard
so
again.
Sticky.
He said yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Noah has a
oh,
still
that's
out back.
good. Yeah. I love it. It's been great.
Brittany says Angel's Envy.
Angel's Envy is not bad. Not bad.
This is this thing. Oh God, what did I do? I completely crossed it out. There we go.
Yeah.
Everybody's back. I missed a few questions here. So let's see. Christopher Tribble, so you guys do a builder's course, would be fun to come meet you guys and build an AR, some other gun and train shoot them. Yeah, we could definitely do that. That's something that I've I've considered and have been requested many times over the years. Yeah, I just have to figure out how we do that. And that's been one of the challenges. You know, you definitely need, everybody needs a set, you know, some punches, a couple of other tools, nothing crazy, but it would be nice. The other thing that I want to do along those lines is do some reloading courses as well. And that is maybe something when it comes to the reloading that I could even offer online, as well as I've thought about putting a builder's course online and then having like a builder's bundle on our website. So those are definitely things that we could do. And we can definitely, consider that. And again, what is nice, folks, is now that, you know, we are doing this full time, there's those ideas like that take up a little bit more time and resources for me that I can now develop and I'll have the time to do. So I'm looking forward to doing a lot of different course development. I'm also right now in the middle of with some talks with some folks. I'm going to talk with some folks where we're actually going to, I'm looking at doing some manufacturing. There's some products that I've been wanting to manufacture for a while. And that is in the works as well. So there's lots of cool things like that we're looking at, and we'll be able to expand. And I'll actually have time to do some of the things that we want to do, as opposed to just barely keeping up with the things that we have to do, which has kind of been the struggle over the last couple of years between me traveling, working full time, and then literally just coming home every night. Summer's, you know, working 18 hours a day, and I come home and work another 4 or 5 hours after I get home from work, and, you know, just to barely keep up. So that's good. Gary, reach out to Dry Fire Mags and get a mag for the X Macro. Well, I'll tell you, they're way behind on producing mags for many commercially available and popular guns. But you're right, they should. You've done some great long range rifle reviews. Are you planning on doing some pistol carbine reviews?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is a particular AR in a company that I want to promote very heavily because, again, it's primary weapon systems. I've been wanting to reach out to them and talk to them about doing some things where we can carry their guns direct. I can actually get their guns, and we do, and I actually have some of their uppers up there, which they're on our website. You should go check those out. So the answer is yes, and we will definitely work on doing some other reviews and comparisons on that. I do have a couple of pistols in mind that I want to do some reviews on as well. So yes. And again, it goes back to over the last few years, I've had like to, just to do like a really good review of the rifle and some of the optics and things. Those are reviews, folks. I know it's hard to tell in a video, but those are 4, 5, 6 days long. And then, compiling them down to, what, like my longest reviews ever were the Arkin. I think there's 2 40-minute videos on there, and that was out of hours and hours and hours and hours of footage. So we definitely need to get some more gun reviews in there. Brittany Armel says, I have a few girlfriend and come into train shoes. Is it possible for us to do it all together on the afternoon? And if so, what are the best months to do it so we can book in advance? Brittany, I get this question a lot. I don't know if you're saying, maybe do a girls only course or women's only course. If that's the question, you and I can definitely talk about it. You get a lot more leeway with me than most ladies because I know you. We can definitely discuss that. I would also encourage you guys to come to a mixed class course. So number one, it's always funny to me when women come to our courses, like how well they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they listen.
They freaking listen.
Listen.
And typically most women are at the top of the class. It's shocking to me. So, and I love it. I love it when women come to our courses because number one, if they had just come with women, they wouldn't be able to see how they do comparatively to most men. Now, don't get me wrong, and this same goes with men. Sometimes there's just some people that don't have a proclivity to firearms, and it takes more time. And I understand, especially, there's I don't know, I don't want to say stigma, but there's some apprehension that I think women tend to have more often than men.
Well, I think they're a little bit intimidated.
100%.
Right? It's just intimidation. But everyone we've had come through our courses, like after 5
minutes,
5 minutes of being in the class and feeling how welcome they are and everything, the intimidation completely goes away.
All they do is have fun.
Yeah, and mostly they're very repeat customers after that.
Absolutely. So, I'd be happy to discuss either one of those options with you, Brittany, and Jason. You'll see her before I do, so definitely talk to her a little bit about that. And then you guys just give me a call, shoot me a text, whatever it is. If we can, if you guys want to set up a female course, we can pick out a date and a time that works for most people. I don't doubt that at all, Brittany. I always shoot better than Matt and Jace, so the more the merrier. But more so, want to know how many are allowed per session. Well. 5 to 1 or less. So typically with our handgun courses, which are definitely our most popular courses, it really is limited by how many instructors we have available. But typically we can handle at least 20 to 25. Usually we can get 4 or 5 instructors out there on any given weekend. But there again, if you need, if you guys want to do something that is not scheduled, let me know and we'll figure something out, figure out the cost, the time, and who we need to have in that course. I
was reading John Walsh's comment. I just took a concealed carry class. The second best shooter in the class was and I totally led that as petty lady. And I was like, oh, wow, way to call her out.
Well, most women are petty.
Oh, my God. And that's strike 2 on YouTube. Right. See you guys in 2 weeks.
You're going to let's see. Number 1, love the Arkin review in the pocket. A primo review. Wish all reviews went as deep as that one. Speaking of which, folks, something I'm really excited about. We got a new product that we're going to be carrying. I had some exposure to it, and I'm buying it mainly for the video reviews. And that's basically it's a Trigger Cam 2.0. It's a better version than the Tacticam. There were some challenges with the Tacticam as far as field of view, optical clarity, and things like that. This Trigger Cam fixes. So number one, we're going to be carrying those. We're probably going to have those on some student guns when we have courses so that you guys can actually get some footage of yourself shooting. And you'll be able to see through it, use it while we record. But the other reason I'm getting it is for I got an optic right over there that I'll be reviewing very soon. As soon as this weather clears up, this weather's really kicked my ass when it comes to just being able to get some video done. Most of the videos that I have lined up need to be outside, and it's been either raining, snowing, or just ridiculously cold and windy. So anyways, we got those coming up, but I'm stoked about the trigger cam. I'll be doing some videos on that alone as well, but you'll be seeing that a lot in videos coming up too. Brandy says, click that. Click it. Click it. Click it. Hey, Gary, I want to support some good, larger 2A groups that have some political clout. Any suggestions? We are already Patreon subscribers for you. Oh, that's awesome, Brandy. Thank you very much. Yeah, I do. There's one that I'm a huge fan of. Hold on, let me pull it up. I'm having a brain fart. I do that. I swear to God, I get on this stupid thing and my brain falls apart. Firearms Policy Coalition, FPC. If somebody will throw up a link to them. I've been trying to get them actually on the podcast. I sent them a few requests via email and talked to them on Twitter. I think we're going to be able to get them on there. But yeah, the Firearms Policy Coalition, they do a lot of great work. The other one that I'm a big fan of is National Association of Gun Owners. Those guys are great. I'm a huge not fan of the NRA. I have a lot to say about the NRA. None of it good. Even as a lifetime NRA member, but I think they are. Yeah, they're not helping us out. We'll just leave it there. But the National Firearms Firearms Policy Coalition. They do a lot of good work. As a matter of fact, they just launched, I think, 3 lawsuits against the pistol brace ban. So they've been doing a lot of good work, and they have been leading the charge when it comes to that. And I've been watching them, and definitely I want to get more involved with them too. They're actually doing stuff, and so is the National Association of Gun Owners. They're pretty good as well.
John here asked a question about a holster that he should be looking for his M&P 2.0.
Yeah, so the ones that I use, and we're actually a dealer from, but we haven't actually placed our first dealer order, but I plan to, for an outside the waistband, basically a duty holster, G-Code or Safariland. The problem with Safariland, which we are basically a dealer for, is, man, they are so, even me, I get on there and I try to find a holster, and they have so many different options, and then, they're hard to find. So anyways, just go to G-Code. I'd have to find the exact. John, I'll shoot you an email. Send me an email and I'll respond to it, and I'll show you the one that I have and I recommend.
Yeah, if there's one thing I can say on this, folks, if you plan on coming to a course like John his, and he's looking for a holster for it, right? I can't say this enough. If you don't know what holster you need for something, give us a call. There's a good chance we probably have a holster for it, or multiple holsters here that you can try out that will let you set up for, right? There's nothing worse than buying gear and then realizing that that's not going to work for you. So if you come to one, there's more than likely we have a holster for something.
And we have guns for students and everything else. So especially for our clients that are traveling, we keep everything here. So I don't care if you're coming to a long range course, a carbine course, you show up, and, we're going to charge you a small gun rental fee that just basically offsets the cost of the wear and tear on the guns. We're not trying to make money off of that. And, you're going to be able to use all our gear, Ear Pro. We usually make you buy iPro. The iPro's, like $5, but you can use our electronic Ear Pro. If you're coming to one of our courses like John or anybody else, and you want recommendations, we can help you with that. If you're looking for something, go to our website. If you want to know what we recommend, we have it on our website. Now with electronic Ear Pro, that's something that we currently carry that we need to. But anyways.
And with all courses, my charming personality comes for free.
Somebody pays for it.
Somebody pays for it.
I pay for it. Let's see. Who makes the best duty holster for the Staccato? Jeff, you can't go wrong. Again, when it comes to duty holsters, you're not going to go wrong with anything from Safariland, from G-Code. and really the differences on there is, depending on what your level of retention is that you require. If you're just looking, if you're looking for like a concealed outside the waistband holster, those are kind of things that I would need to know, specifically if it's, an actual duty holster, if it's like an outside the waistband concealed holster, all those things. But as far as duty holsters go, John, if you go with Safariland or G-Code, you won't go wrong. What's some other decent brands for duty holsters?
Honestly, most of the duty holsters, you have to be, different agencies have different things for them, like level 3s and stuff,
either
like
level
that.
2 or level 3
when
retention.
you talk about duty holsters, it's you email us what you're looking for, right? And there's probably a good recommendation from there.
What I can tell you is 90+% of the agencies, and I would probably even say law enforcement, local and state law enforcement, are going to be rocking Safariland. And that's the thing. Safariland will most likely have the exact holster for you and the one that you want for your gun, whether it be the level of retention, whether it be the height from the belt that you want. The problem is deciphering the Aztec ruins of a coding system and figuring out how to get that one, because that is the challenge with Safariland. Is it's very difficult to
they are not easy.
No,
even when for 1-inch drop,
it's terrible
thing.
Yeah,
I was very confused. I mean,
well, and the other
happens.
problem is that some of those holsters, they sell in like one configuration, but you can get an attachment to get the level of the height drop that you want. So it's tough.
Boom.
Yep. Off topic, but when I fly out for the range in September, I'm bringing my rifle. But I was wondering, because they charge by weight, if I can buy my ammo from you. I'd be using Horny. Yes, absolutely, Jason. We'll definitely have 147 grain ELD, both in 6.5 PRC and 6.5 Creedmoor. So we'll have those on hand. Definitely give us a heads up. We don't know what's going to happen between now and then, as far as, could be come September, suddenly there's an ammo shortage. I don't know. Hopefully that's not the case.
See, what you do, Jason, is you put your sand stock under the scale, right? When they're weighing it, so it doesn't go down far all the way.
Jason, the first thing you do is never listen to Jason.
I second that opinion.
Awesome. Jason's sponsor says, I bought the G-Code for my pistol after the first Patreon training. Awesome video and love it for my SIG. Yeah, and definitely, guys, again, I'm way behind on those videos. What I can tell you is before the end of the year, you will have 52 those training videos up there. I promise you. But the weather has just been garbage out here. What else we got? Any other questions, gripes, or complaints about Jason or Summer?
You can't complain about Summer, because then nothing would get done.
No,
she is the rock.
She is the rock.
Yeah,
she hits me with it all the time. Absolutely. Well, listen, folks. Look, again, I always appreciate everybody showing up. It's as much as I hate YouTube. I'm glad to be back on there so we can continue to get our message out. And right now, it's just the easiest platform. We are going to be moving away from there, but definitely. Folks, I know, especially going from YouTube over to Rumble, even I've been trying to just even watch videos and stuff on there. It's a change, right? But we've got to be more intentional when it comes to choosing the platforms that we use, the places that we put our money. We got to fight for those rights. We're losing, and again, I should have gotten started moving off of YouTube, and I intended to, but there was no problem. So it's easy to get complacent, and I did. We'll continue to push stuff over to Rumble. Watch our videos on Rumble. I'll continue to upload at least portions of videos to YouTube, or videos that I think are going to be a problem, because it does serve as the best. Because I think right now we got like 200 subscribers on Rumble versus our 20,000.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think we either hit 20,000 or we will. We were like 10 away when we started on this thing. So started on this. See where we're at. We are at.
Thanks, Student Baker, for the
19,999 subscribers. By the way, this month, for those of you who care, we hit 130,000 views. We had up to 14,000 watch hours. We were at 1.6, 1,000. 1,600 new subscribers in the month. So all times highs right before we got kicked in the balls by YouTube. So it is what it is. The video is called Marines Outsmart DARPA. I'll check that out.
We got a couple links in here. A couple people put.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so we got the links. That's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, we got to watch that. I might have to do a reaction video to that. It'd be fun. All right, folks, we're going to call tonight. Hey, love you guys. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you showing up. We appreciate all your love and support. So, yeah, you guys have a great week. We'll be getting some more videos out. I got several lined up, so stay tuned for that. If you haven't, definitely go check out our Patreon site, where we will be pushing more and more online training. I think you guys will really enjoy those videos. I have a sample video on there. Really, it's the orientation video to talk about how that works and why it's going to be effective. We started some different levels of support on Patreon. We have several people at the highest tier, which we really appreciate you guys. And yeah, we're going to continue moving forward, getting better and better every single day. And I hope you challenge yourself to do the exact same thing. But until next time, you guys stay armed, stay ready, and we'll talk to you guys soon.